This service station in a Swiss canton perfectly epitomizes not just the double displacement of reality that you find at Disneyland, but also and foremost a kind of heterotopia that points to no agreed upon meaningful text. Here in the middle of the Swiss Alps, a fin de siècle interior, a Neapolitan pizzeria, a Greek market, Viennese patisserie, Japanese garden, Victorian conservatory, a chewing gum dispenser, a modern supermarket, a Middle European street, an Italian bar with a saloon, a Sicilian cart, an overflowing display of exotic vegetables, and a knockoff vintage Scandinavian tiled stove, desperately striving to revive the appeal of the classic German Kacheloven. They all jumble and mingle with the artificial rocks paving the way to the lavatories. There, the television-integrated urinals, streaming advertisements on both prostate and erectile dysfunctions, only adds to the uncanny feeling of a space-time jump into an alternate reality. Now, what piques interest here is not so much the coexistence of clashing elements, but the intention of a snowball effect in which the natural environment, rather than its synthetic counterfeit, is what looks out of place. The snow, the mountains, the glaciers, in other words, the wild and sublime view of what used to be the impenetrable threshold of Rome and Italy, turns out to be the beefed-up decorative frill with which this microclimatized and self-sufficient biosphere is wallpapered. Now, this paradox is intensified just a few miles away at the 7132 Thermal Spa at Vals, designed by the Swiss architect Peter Zumthor and plonked in the middle of what used to be an uncontaminated farmer's village. It's not just the obliteration of nature, pervasively perpetuated by the establishment, that is striking here, but also the impressive sequence of free associations you find amongst customers in their reviews. On TripAdvisor, you find it's alternately a trout breeding farm, a monumental cemetery, a Nazi concentration camp, and the like. Daniel Libeskind, the Polish-American architect in charge of integrating the meaning of the Holocaust into the unconsciousness and memory of the city of Berlin, might well lament not being able to elicit this same kind of response in the design of his Jewish museum. So it's not just a matter of a kind of unwelcome Bilbao effect being emulated in the heart of a godforsaken alpine valley, or of the expressions of patent disbelief on the faces of the affluent customers traveling far and wide to contemplate the ramifications of state-of-the-art well-being, and ultimately of the hyperreal materialization of what must have been the agonizing uncertainty experienced by the prisoners of Auschwitz when they faced the farcical request to strip and shower en masse. Really, it's not even a matter of sensing incredulity within a non-place such as the Marche Glarnerland, while feeling totally disconnected within the 7132 and its die-hard attempt to reconnect the devotees with their inner selves and that very nature which is so brutally excluded from the premises. It is rather a matter of a kind of delusional behavior that we obstinately continue to put right at the center of all architecture, sugar-coated by media-constructed forms of representation that none of the apologists in charge would ever dream to worship in the flesh. This place acts as the unreachable Shangri-La dimension of current architectural good conscience. But it's an amazing building, so let's take a look around. There are the dimmed, phantasmatic, minimalist, naked and retro light bulbs hanging sparsely from the ceiling. Then there are the oversized, steampunk-styled and vintage-handled shower chambers, likely extracted from Victor Frankenstein's cabinet. There are the gargantuan concrete walls that surround a penitentiary recreation courtyard or tepidarium, and then the Kafkaesque main hall where bathers whirl aimlessly like the penitents from Dante's Purgatory. There are the empty hooks, inviting inmates to unrobe before accessing twin-bed marbled mortuary slabs in the steam rooms, and the sheer cinematic effect by which the unfriendly, patronizing, gesticulating, and over-attentive staff turned to clients as if they were extras from a POW scene. There are the airless, cramped, oppressive, claustrophobic, asphyxiating, and inescapable water pools, which a Roger Moore-era Bond villain might have vindictively filled with shark assassins instead of the coldarium and frigidarium. And then, across the valley are the high-rise Cold War socialist tower blocks, whose appearance can be comfortably contemplated from the chaise-longues tactically arranged before the few openings available in the perimeter, such that visitors are disengaged from the setting as much as the baths are by the property speculation generated. Well, I could go on, but all of this is no longer a matter of how bona fide a translation of a top security prison 7132 is, nor is it a matter of conspiracy theories dismissing historical facts as fiction. Rather, it is a matter of the abolition of that collective hallucination of architecture that was first brought to the fore by originating something as virtual, evanescent, and undetectable as architectural space. Reflected in reverse, this incontestable antichrist of architectural representation eventually pops up, deflated and denuded of each and every one of its original intentions. This is truly and unforeseeably a kind of architectural holocaust. Now that collective hallucination, which has driven, undisturbed, the past and present of the architectural enterprise for the best of 5 centuries now, has done so at the price of paying with interest this generalized return of the repressed. For 7132 is not just the most beautiful mausoleum, dysfunctionally erected to the life and death of architecture as we know it. It is, almost and foremost, a holy sepulchre to the resurrection and reburial of that ambiguous, ambitious, banalized, disconnected, inefficient foobar and dreamland movement that is phenomenology. Lost in translation, this volatile subversion has unexpectedly looped into the opposite end of the spectrum upon which it was supposed to land. Thus, bathe or die.